Robosrants 23. The US economy is fire-trucked. When I was a kid, people used to say that if the US economy caught a cold, the New Zealand economy would get the flu. Well, unfortunately, the US economy doesn't have a cold. It's got pneumonia and a bad case of the clap in the capital to boot. Now, you might recall back in the 2016 campaign, Mr. Trump saying a couple of things. One of them was that the US economy is in a big fat bubble, and the other thing was he was going to drain the swamp. Well, those two things are actually interrelated, and you can't drain the swamp in one term. It's going to take at least 2 terms, and it's very difficult for a president to have a second term if the economy's collapsed. So, none too surprising to me, he did what he always does, President Flip-Flop. He U-turned on the economy, saying that it's fantastic. It's not fantastic, it's crap, and I was going to show you it's crap, and he knows it's crap. But he also knows it's crashing, and it's inevitable. So I'm going to give you 3 figures which will outline why I think the US economy is not long for this world. The first one is government debt, the second one is inflation, and the third one is unemployment. Most talking heads say that US government debt is $21 trillion. Well, I'll leave the link below, but that's out by about 100%. US government debt is somewhere between $40 and $50 trillion. That's quantifiable and could well be a lot higher. Inflation. Inflation, I think, is said to be at the moment around 2%. It's actually closer to 10. And the reason for the disparity is because back in the 1980s and 90s, they used to measure inflation in a slightly different way. And every year or every administration that moves along, because inflation gets worse and worse, they simply change the measuring tools. Now we end up with inflation looking at 2%, and in reality it's 9-10%, 5 times worse than what we're being told. And a not dissimilar thing happens with unemployment. I think it was the Clinton administration back in the 90s. They decided that anybody who'd been unemployed for more than 4 weeks was no longer unemployed. They were re-termed disinterested. Well, take a whole lot of people off the unemployment figures because they're now disinterested and not unemployed, and the unemployment rate suddenly plummets through the floor. And every administration since then has simply changed the measuring tools to make unemployment look better than what it really is. Unemployment in the States right now is about 20%. Inflation is about 10%, and government debt is $40 to $50 trillion. But it's not alone. All Western economies are in the same boat, and they all give us disingenuous information about our economies. And we all know why that is. That's right. Fiat's collapsing. Have a happy day, people.